So thank you very much for joining us and welcome to using B2B unified commerce to increase product sales. My name's Lauren and I have worked in digital change and business development and strategy now for at least 20 years. So I'm quite passionate about helping businesses to go digital, but in the right ways. I now work with Druick & Co, who are the UK's Peppery partner. Peppery is an established B2B unified commerce platform, so it helps brands and wholesalers to quickly respond to changing market conditions. We work with companies like Heineken, Dermalogica, Seco, Hallmark, lots of other very well-known brands, as well as some really awesome up-and-coming brands as well that are just kind of starting to make their mark. Also with me today is my lovely colleague Nigel Druick. So Nigel is the director at Druick & Co, who are the UK Peppery partner. Nigel, do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you?
Hi everybody. Thanks Lauren. As Lauren said, my name's Nigel. I've been working in business solutions for many years in the areas of ERP, CRM, business intelligence, e-commerce, Salesforce, CRM, as I mentioned before. And currently, Druick & Co is a business consulting company where we provide ERP selection and implementation services, CRM services, and we also specialize in e-commerce, and we're very pleased to be Peppery's UK partner and have been for several years now, helping many companies implement e-commerce solutions, very much seamless e-commerce solutions, as we'll talk about later on.
Amazing, thank you, Nigel. So I thought what we could do first is discuss what unified B2B commerce actually is. So, I mean, Nigel, do you want to walk us through how you see unified B2B commerce?
Yes, I can give you a quick overview of what unified B2B commerce encompasses. It's just one of these terms that seems to have evolved recently. We used to talk about multi-channel e-commerce, but now I think it's the full picture of unified B2B commerce. So the goal is to create a seamless user buying and selling experience that ultimately makes it simple and intuitive to buy or to sell products. So unified B2B commerce provides that through multiple different channels that connect and communicate with each other, or with your main inventory system or ERP. So no matter how the products are being purchased, whether through an app, a website, sales reps, in-store, social media, via email or even fax, and processed by your customer service department, the seller and the buyer get a consistent and personalized experience. So you're supporting your customer's choice to purchase in the way that's best for them in that moment. That doesn't mean that they won't purchase from a sales rep or come online next time they purchase, but this is what they want to do now. So the expectation is they can access the same products, make the same purchases in multiple different ways, and of course always receive the same pricing as well. If that's done correctly, it personalizes the experience for the customer and allows the seller to provide more relevant and helpful offers, advice, and options. So unified B2B commerce will often include features like customer self-service portals, where businesses can manage their own accounts, track orders, access invoices, and get customer support. It can also include other tools such as your CRM, or will support EDI, electronic data interchange, for particularly some of the bigger players. So your ERP will support communication between your various systems and communication channels, and it provides a single source of truth for those to operate from. So by unifying these various channels and technologies, companies can enhance customer satisfaction, streamline their operations, and ultimately drive more sales and growth.
Amazing, thank you. That was very comprehensive. So, I mean, would you say that unified commerce is more for larger organizations than smaller businesses?
Not anymore, no. I mean, typically it was something that larger organizations would implement. However, customer expectations have really changed, especially over the last few years. For instance, according to the Centre for Retail Research, online retail sales in the UK increased by 46% in 2020 compared to the previous year. So we weren't just living through a pandemic, we saw a pandemic change the buying behaviors and patterns and create new expectations of having exactly what we need at our fingertips. And that's not just B2C. As it's inevitable, our behaviors and our expectations in our personal lives ultimately feed into our business and our work activity. And we see that tremendously with looking at our customers, our customers' customers, the B2B customers, who are very much choosing to use phones, ideally, smartphones as their preferred device. So B2B operations that were able to pivot or already had the infrastructure in place to sell to their customers online, they didn't just survive, they really thrived. And now brands, manufacturers and businesses like yours need to evaluate how best to meet those expectations. Not just securing your existing slice of the market, but if done properly, you can create additional opportunities and support an increase in that share too. Whether you sell food, drink, beauty or fashion or something else, and no matter your size, the buying drivers from your customers are relatively similar. They want to meet a need with their end customer, provide a product that meets that need and that represents their brand well, and they want to do it quickly and efficiently. Where you begin to see complexities compared to, say, B2C commerce is in the many different considerations for B2B purchasing. So things like trade agreements, different pricing for different customers, larger orders, repeat orders, etc. So it's important to understand what this looks like for you and ensure your digital strategy allows for those. We've seen some small and startup business focus predominantly online and then expand their options to physical and face-to-face selling once that model has been successful. And we've seen it the other way around too. So in short, no, the size of your business doesn't make a huge amount of difference. It's what's right for you, your business and your customers. Understand where you want to go, know your customer and establish the best routes to get there for you. Unified commerce will support your growth at any stage of your business. And in some cases, it can be less complex to implement it sooner rather than later and ensure its scalability and agility to grow with your business and customer base. It can, in fact, help you make far more intelligent decisions, leading to a better growth path.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much. So we've talked quite a lot with our customers to understand some of the benefits that they're actually seeing from implementing a successful unified B2B commerce strategy. And we thought what we'd do is maybe share some of those with you today. So, for example, you've got improved operational efficiency. If you're streamlining and automating various business processes, like if you use Peppery's order taking software, for example, it reduces manual errors, it reduces bottlenecks, you get much better efficiency, things happen faster, you've got better order processing, which all ultimately lead to better operational efficiency. It's also about the customer experience as well. So by giving your customers more of what they want in the ways that they want it, in a consistent and personalized way, the overall customer experience will be improved. So that includes things like their invoicing, making it easy for them to browse and access catalogs or purchase online, having sales reps who already have access to key information about the businesses that they're speaking to, their browsing habits. It creates better customer support, tracking of shipments. There's so much that it improves from the customer perspective. All of that ultimately will create a satisfied customer, and in turn you'll get more loyalty for your business and for the brand as well. Also here we're looking at sales and growth, increasing that. Not only does customer loyalty obviously lead to more sales, but the opportunities for you to cross-sell and upsell your products face-to-face, online, whatever mediums it is that your customers want to use. If you can utilize the information about your customers to make better recommendations, create more targeted marketing campaigns, more relevant offers, you'll see, a huge impact. That could actually result in increased order values, more regular purchasing. So it's definitely worth thinking about how you'll leverage B2B commerce for your business in respect to increase sales and growth as well. If you're currently operating a predominantly face-to-face model of sales, which a lot of businesses are, Offering a self-service option for your customers enables you to quickly and efficiently broaden your market reach. So you can enter new markets, you can operate in different countries. Your customers can now purchase your products from anywhere that you choose to allow them to. So you'll obviously need to consider your fulfillment and incorporate planned routes to market, that sort of thing, and really understand what your strategy for this is going to be. But with unified B2B commerce, the world can really be your oyster if you want it to be. You've also got better supply chain management. So with B2B commerce, you typically integrate your systems, like Nigel said, with your ERP. What that does is it supports seamless information flow between the systems and therefore the departments in the business. So whether it's sales and marketing or finance and logistics, you'll have better visibility across all aspects of your business. So the process will be improved, and ultimately there'll be quite large time and cost savings as well if it's done right. We've talked and touched on decision making, but you can really use the data that you're getting from advanced features in your B2B commerce solutions to give you information about how to make more informed decisions, more intelligent decisions based on actual customer interactions, not just, this sounds like a good idea, let's see what happens. It means that you can make better decisions both now and in the future. And when you make changes based on those, you can then optimize it based on the impact that that has. You can track that and get the feedback that you need to be able to decide what to do next. I mean, we've touched on growth and agility here as well, but with the right systems in place, all communicating in the best way, you're ready for growth to take place as well. So you'll be able to react far better in a far more agile manner than without them. You'll be able to respond to changes in buyer behavior, implement changes in pricing, offers campaigns, in a much more orderly fashion. So I mean, things change all the time. It's a given. An effective unified commerce gives you the ability to respond in the best way and take advantage of the opportunities that it actually creates. Lastly, I think cost savings is really important here. So ultimately, there are plenty of cost reductions and time-saving benefits to be had if you implement it properly. Manual data entry, for one, order taking, they're both reduced massively. The amount of paperwork and processing times are reduced, which means that you have lower operational costs overall. So the time can be spent much more effectively in the business on more urgent matters or growth strategies. If you're automating processes like this, it can lead to a huge reduction in errors, returns, and in some cases you may be able to use that data to actually negotiate better rates with suppliers. So the way you use it is really important, because even that reduction in errors feeds back into the customer satisfaction. So none of it's to be sniffed at, really. And what aspects you choose to incorporate into your business growth and digital improvement strategy is entirely down to you. But make sure you consider the future when you look at this as well. For our customers, these aren't just hypothetical benefits. They've actually seen real tangible benefits from this. Vintage saw a 20% increase in sales when they started using Peppery mobile ordering system, and Pieroth benefited from a 70% reduction in order to delivery time using Peppery, and Kuhn are experiencing double-digit growth year on year and improved margins with Peppery as well. So the benefits are real, but again, it comes down to making sure that what you're implementing and how you're implementing it is going to be right for what you need. So we've talked quite a lot about giving your customers the tools to purchase themselves, reaching more markets and generally allowing sales through multiple different channels. So did that mean face-to-face is dead, Nigel?
No, absolutely not. It comes down to the individual businesses and really knowing your customer. So the way different customers want to buy from you may differ. People still buy from people. Digital is never going to fully replace the relationships, the human-to-human element of B2B purchasing. However, buyers are putting themselves more and more in control of their purchasing, not waiting to be sold to, but going out and finding what they're looking for themselves. So we saw the digital marketplace G-Cloud for public sector purchases is a prime example of this. There have been cases of digital suppliers receiving orders with very little human-to-human interaction with the supplier they've ended up choosing. Now, that obviously requires rather a robust requirements definition, supplier analysis and selection process, but it's working and people are using it successfully. If you have a model that supports face-to-face sales, great. Don't get rid of it. That's how a section of your customers wants to buy from you. What you do need to do, however, is to optimize it in line with what your customers want and what your business is trying to achieve. So make sure the technologies you're using support more intuitive buying processes with less chance of errors, not just for your customers' sake, but also for your reps and support staff. If a rep has access to customer information like buying behaviors, stock levels, browsing history, recommended products, new product launches, this opens up a more natural conversation that can increase opportunities, conversations that may not have otherwise happened. If you are still manually processing orders, there's always the risk of error. Not only that, but you're also paying someone for time that could be used far more effectively in growing the business, identifying new opportunities, increasing customer satisfaction, working on products, finding ways to enhance what you're already offering. And this is where we should probably touch on hard ROI and soft ROI. So the hard ROI increases order value or an increase in how regularly a customer purchases from you. Maybe the success of a new product launch because you've utilized multiple different channels to tell your customers about it. It could also be the reduction you see in order processing errors, cancelled orders, and reduced churn. Things like saving time for your employees so they can focus on other things is seen as soft ROI, not because it's any less important, but because at first it can be much harder to quantify. You may find that out of 100 business hours saved each month, only a percentage of it is being spent on driving forward new product changes or identifying new opportunities in your market. But that time saving and efficiency increase in the business will have a positive effect and is definitely something to consider when looking at your strategy for this. Don't worry about whether people's jobs will suddenly be at risk. Work with your employees, your colleagues, your partners to understand how their skill sets and time can be used best to support the growth of your company and your brand.
Amazing, thank you, Nigel. Okay, so we saw the slide pop up which says one size does not fit all, and that's because it's true. Just because you've seen a specific strategy work for one business, or you've done this before in a previous role in a different company, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the right thing or the right way to do it now. This is why it is, again, going back to what Nigel said, vitally important to know your customers, understand their pain points, and really try and help them solve problems when you're carrying out a digital transformation project like this. So when you're putting together your requirements for your project, looking at what solution you'll use is important, but it's not just about features. Firstly, it's about knowing that this solution will meet the needs of your customers and support ongoing business objectives, not just now, but in the future as well. Talk about scalability. Your need to consider scalability is high. It's really, really important part of it. Like with all transformation projects, it isn't over when you've chosen a supplier, or even after you've launched your customers and told them how wonderful it's going to be and how much it will benefit them. Now you have the opportunity to actually learn from it. Learn from how your customers are interacting with it. Take that information and use it to help your business evolve in the right ways, help to communicate your brand and your messaging to your customers. If you know your customers tend to make really large purchases, for example, but only make these maybe once a month or once a quarter, you can tailor your communications to them based on that information that your B2B commerce solution should be giving you. I mean, Nigel, what kind of considerations should businesses be thinking about when creating and implementing their strategy for something like this?
Okay, so I think it's really important to think about this as a very large sort of change management project for your company. So I think first of all, it's really spending the right amount of time on it and really thinking about it and creating a strategy. So clearly, first thing you need to do is to understand your customers, to know what the customers' needs are, how you interact with your customers. Also speaking to your partners, thinking about fulfillment, maybe third-party logistics partners that you have, or carriers, those sorts of people. So to understand that and to put everything really into perspective, and then to create that plan for change. One of the sort of foundational pillars for it really is integration. So effectively, we need to ensure that automation is really considered all the way through. So the ideal basically is that when an order is captured through whatever channel it's captured, then we want to use automation so that the next thing that happens really is a notification in the warehouse to go out and pick that order. We don't want anything in between. We don't need any rekeying. We just need that seamless experience, both from an integration perspective and from a process perspective. So I think do your research up front as well. Make sure you're well supported. Make sure you get the right partners, internally and externally. Also make sure that during the project you have enough resource, internal resource and backfill if you have to make sure that the project it gets done successfully. And of course, choose well. So don't just go for the cheapest. Make sure that you evaluate all of your requirements, look at the solutions that are out there. Don't focus on just looking for the cheapest, but make sure really that you partner with a company and a support partner who will be with you for the long haul and who specializes in B2B commerce, and invests in that and invests in the changing trends that are always coming in this environment.
Amazing, thank you, Nigel. And you've talked, obviously it sounds like a lot, and it is, but it doesn't need to be too complex. You don't need to have, you've talked about before about having an MVP, minimum viable product. It doesn't need to be everything to everyone immediately. You find out what the core things are that you need to make this successful, to go live, and then you add to it and let it grow and evolve with your business, and based on that feedback.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it isn't a project as such. It's an ongoing relationship, and it will evolve. And so we always advise our customers really to look at it from what used to be called the waterfall. So that look at the total project and what you would like to achieve, and once you've understood that, then really the project should be done in let's say bite-sized chunks, so that you get this minimal viable product up and running. First of all, you get used to working with the solution, and then you gradually improve it, so you have subsequent phases. And indeed, working with the partners, if you're using the best solution like Peppery, then look at the way that Peppery is developing the product. Look at the additional features that are coming on in there, and then work together to build the next phase and to customize it for your own situation. So it's a partnership that you're creating at the beginning of the project. It's not just a project.
Yeah, and it's important to think about things not to do here as well. So don't give up. And you've mentioned there obviously about the waterfall approach, and what this does really is having good B2B commerce in place allows you to be far more agile than you might otherwise be able to be, because you can react, as we've said before, to genuine feedback, genuine interactions, and the platform will grow with you. It's important not to give up. It's something that will grow and it will evolve. Okay, so
it's just important to say that when I mention waterfall is there in the first phase to look at it and say, what do we want to do as a whole? But after that, the approach is super agile. So that, for instance, when we implement Peppery, then once we've done the initial configuration, we work with the customer interactively on that. It's completely agile. It's not something we don't talk about the specification and then go and sort of hide away in a cupboard for 3 months and develop it and say, here you are, that's what you said. We work completely interactively with the customer during the implementation.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I want to talk about here, I suppose, is more some of the points that the customers might be considering. So sustainability, for example, is quite important. And if it's a buying driver for one of your customers, it's important to make sure that information about transporting sustainably and how your product's created and your sustainability policy and all that sort of stuff is transparent and available online, as well as being communicated to your potential customers through sales reps. Obviously, reliability is really important. So if there are ever errors made when orders are processed, can they find what they need from you? And if not, do you offer alternatives or enough information to quickly set new expectations with them? Again, a good B2B commerce platform in place can reduce those. It reduces the chance of error massively. Do you use reliable delivery methods? Do they get updates? Ease of access, how can they buy from you? Do they have to meet with someone, or can they simply browse your products or amend orders themselves, do relaunches themselves quite quickly? How often do your sales or account managers visit them? What response times do they have? There's so much that they are not necessarily thinking this is what we want, but if you can provide, a much better, much more streamlined process for them, then it's going to be easier for them, and that's really important. I mean, would your customers benefit from having a mobile app, they can use to purchase your products from? With more and more products being made on mobile devices now, as you mentioned, Nigel, or then over kind of desktop and computers, ensuring a mobile-friendly user experience for your customers could be vital for the success of your B2B commerce strategy. They might be thinking about delivery timescales. Again, having a system that automatically tells them about that, sets those expectations, means you're going to have happier customers. Quality kind of goes without saying, but it's not just about quality of products here, it's about quality of service. So, and if an order was to be out of stock or a mistake was made, how quickly can this be communicated and rectified? How often does this happen? Customer satisfaction at the end of the day is really, really important. And the time that it takes them to deal with you as a supplier, again, how much of their time is it taking up? If you can streamline that and make it super simple, then the customer is going to be happy in general. I mean, Gartner says that 77% of B2B buyers state that their latest purchases were very complex or difficult. And they also say that 83% of B2B buyers prefer ordering or paying through B2B commerce. So all that's doing here is saying what some of the issues are really that they're experiencing, how people like to purchase. And what we're saying is you need to meet that need wherever you can. Digital transformation isn't a question of if now, it should be a question of how best do I do this for my business and my customers? How should I be approaching this? And what is going to be most beneficial for me now? Ultimately, you're just a very small part of your customer's business. And one of the many things that they need to do to ensure that their business runs smoothly. So the easier you make it for them, the better. It's about empowering your customers, like Nigel said. More and more people are going to look at what they want and buying themselves rather than waiting to be sold to. So you need to figure out how you best meet that need. Okay, so I think it would be probably quite good to talk a little bit about Peppery at this point, and give you some examples of what Peppery can do. Nigel?
Yeah, exactly. So let's do that. So as we say, we're Peppery's UK partner. Peppery is a global solution that's having been sold now in I think more than 70 countries. I think we've got globally more than 1,000 customers using Peppery. So this is just a little overview of what Peppery is. First thing, very important on the Peppery platform, So we see the bottom of this chart. This is effectively a representation of what's going on in the cloud. So Pepri is a multi-tenant software as a service SaaS solution, so sitting up in the cloud. And in that Pepri platform area, you will be seeing all of your customers, all of your products, your prices, the images, of course, and anything else that you want to manage in the Pepri environment. So that means that's where we'll bring down orders and invoices that were placed in other channels that weren't placed using the Pepri platform. We can bring down information about products as well. We can, like, safety data sheets or PDFs or videos or whatever else. So we can bring all of that into the Pepri environment for onward use. And that's where we can truly make that a unified platform. That includes also integrating, say, with carriers. We can bring down carrier information so that once a product has been shipped, then if your customer is using Pepri self-service, they can see the progress of that package and when they're likely to receive it. We can bring, as we said, the invoices down, and we can use something like the Stripe payment portal to enable the customer to pay the invoice if that's appropriate as well, via credit card or via other methods as well. So that's what's sitting in the Pepri platform, and that it will be done through an integration, and I'm going to show you that on a subsequent slide. But the point is here, everything is done through automation and integration where possible. So if we now look on the left-hand side, the first item, the B2B commerce, this is one of the modules of Pepri that Pepri licensed to the customers. So B2B commerce comes either as a web-based application just by keying in a simple URL and entering your customer credentials, so user ID and password, or as a mobile app. And the mobile app is available both on Android and Apple app exchanges. It can also be customized, white labeled for your own use. So the app can be under your branding rather than under Pepri branding, and the URL that's used for the web app can also be your own URL. So it can be very much personalized to your own experience. So initially, the self-service B2B commerce enables the customer to log on, to see all of their previous transactions, if necessary, to clone those transactions and to duplicate the orders to create a new order. And then they will see everything categorized by the categories that you want them to see. So they can see all of your products, and then very simply through the user interface, they can click on them and order the products. And at the end of the process, then the order is normally pushed into your ERP for subsequent fulfillment. So moving on to the next icon on the left-hand side. No, back please.
No.
To the order taking in mobile CRM. Then what we see there is the sales reps application. Again, that's effectively built on top of what we already talked about in the B2B e-commerce. So here, the sales rep is going to be using a tablet. They have the ability to log on. They can see everything that's gone on with all of their customers on their territory. They can see targets that they should be achieving. For individual customers, they can look at individual orders. They can go through all of the products with the end customers, so they can detail them, they can show videos. All of the collateral that's available is available to them on their devices, and those devices will also function without connectivity in areas where there is no connectivity, so they can still work with the customer, show the products, and take orders even when there's no connectivity. And then next time they're within a good Wi-Fi signal, then automatically the orders will be or synchronization will take place. Orders will be pushed up into the ERP system. Peppery also manages merchandising. So, for instance, if you've got merchandisers, this is mainly for the bigger brands who have agreements with the shops for product placement. We can store the planograms. We can enable taking of photographs and making of surveys by the merchandising team when they go into the shops to compare compliance basically with what's been agreed and what the current situation is. Moving on swiftly to route accounting, that's really building on the sales rep functionality, but enabling inventory management within a van. So if people are selling directly out of the van to the customer when they visit the customer, then that can be managed with the route accounting. And then clearly we've got support for inside sales and inside support. So there is access for these people to see everything that's available in the system that the company wants them to see. We have a strict permissions concept as well, so that it's not, but we can define who sees what within the system. So inside sales will be doing their work. Maybe they're doing telesales, calling customers to take their weekly orders and stuff like that. So that's also managed. And then we also have the manager's console. That's where the overall system can be controlled. Integration can be managed, and obviously all the reporting and analytics are there as well. So that's the Peppery platform.
Amazing. Thank you, Nigel. So I think we're going to talk a little bit about the different, it feeds into the integration side of things, doesn't it? So
yeah,
this is not by any means all of the platforms that we can integrate with, is it?
No. So the foundational concept of Peppery is that we use integration. Traditionally, that used to be done with CSV files and automation via FTP, which we can still do. But we now have our amazing Peppery iPaaS. So that's integration platform as a service for those who care about that. And basically what we're saying here is that we will be doing a full integration to your ERP or indeed to your accounting system if it's a smaller system like Xero or QuickBooks. So what's happening there is that we're integrating fully. So we will take data from your ERP. So that's going to be, as we said, products, customers, pricing, inventory, sales history, orders that have come in through other channels, images, carrier information, tracking information, all of that stuff. And typically we schedule that to come down from your ERP on a regular basis, say every hour or every half hour or something like that. And then on the other side, when orders and indeed returns and other transactions are entered into Peppery, then they will be immediately pushed, normally using a webhook, to push them into your ERP system. So again, this is giving you as much automation as possible, giving you as much efficiency as possible, really. This really is fundamental to the whole process. We're not introducing bottlenecks. We're not saying, enter the order into Peppery and then print it off and then send that as an email to someone to rekey, and then they can do all of that's finished. Basically, we're looking at using APIs via the Peppery iPaaS, pushing data from one place to another to really be ultra efficient, as efficient as we possibly can be.
Amazing. Thank you, Nigel. Okay, so what would be really good now is if we could maybe visualize a little bit of this and see it in action. You okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay. So the first part of this demonstration, I want to show you using an iPad. So this is a direct presentation from an iPad. What we're doing first of all is looking at a sales rep's iPad. So this is the view that the sales rep would get when they go into the system. So as you'll see, we've got one big button in the middle, which is quick order. which when they're sitting down with a customer, if that's what they want to do, first of all, they can go straight in there and click in there and create a quick order. I want to emphasize this is a sales rep system. This has got a static JPEG as the landing page. As you'll see later on, when we look at the customer experience, we would normally customize that to have a kind of web landing page on there. So the look and feel is a little bit different. So first of all, the rep can go in, for instance, and look at the dashboard. The dashboard is using one of the new features that's just been launched by Peppery, which is called Insights. Insights is building on the data that's available both within Peppery and also data that's coming down from the ERP or accounting system. So there's a lot of stuff that we can configure in here for you, and a lot of stuff that customers can configure for themselves as well. So we can look at the KPIs, we can look at as you can see on what I must sell, we can look at targets versus actuals, we can look at analytics about sales visits, we can see top selling items here at the bottom with the cream cheese as being the top seller. We can look at product categories and all the various statistics relating to turnover and product categories. We can also look at best-selling accounts. We can look at targets versus actuals for the quarter, year on year, and so on and so on. And as I'm sure you know, within all these analytics environments, I mean, you can go as far as you want to go, but what we really want to do is to provide actionable information for the sales rep here, so that they really can focus on what they need to get done. So the sales rep has also a view of all of the accounts that are in their particular region. So if we look inside here, there's a lot of filter criteria, search criteria here, so you can search for an account by all of these things like name, account type, size, city, etc., etc. So we can certainly have a look in there and see all of those things. Peppery is also fully integrated with Google Maps, so you get the chance to see all of your customers on a map as well. So in this instance, we're focused on New York. You can see that here we have customers. You see at the bottom, we can categorize the customers as small, large, and medium. We can categorize them a lot further than that. We can also use Peppery as a CRM, so we're able to categorize a customer either as a customer or a prospect, and then associated with that, we can create visits, we can make visit reports, and we can then progress that customer from hopefully from being a prospect to being a full-blown customer. Also associated with that, we can see outstanding visits. So we've got a full agenda here, and we can see we can relate back for instance, the visits for these particular customers, so that we can see that on the 18th, visit number 1 was to this customer here in New York. And that also gives you the opportunity that if you want to, let's say you finish your visit early when you're in one customer, you can just come on here, look and see what other prospects or customers are in the area, and then very simply go into there and see if you can arrange an appointment with them.
I think it's really important how kind of powerful that aspect is. Having been someone who spent a lot of time out in the field many years ago, that's really powerful, that tool, because it can help you access new opportunities and kind of really make use of that time whilst you're out there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that's what we want to do. So we've got the opportunity to look at what's been going on with that particular customer. We can look at an overview of everything. So here we've got an account dashboard. As you can see, we've got sales orders that are showing at the moment. We can then further look at any orders that have come in as B2B orders. So we can see what the customers are actually entering themselves. We can also look at any invoices that are there. let's say those invoices are coming from your ERP. So, and also just important to note that we can bring down from the ERP things like credit limits and current balances, so that when an order is being processed, it can refer to that and maybe put something on stop if the customer hasn't paid enough to get below their credit limit at the moment. So we can go through all the different things, and at this point also we can add new visits, we can add new orders, we can add new returns, we can add new replenishments and surveys, and so on, as you can see at the top on here. So if we go back to the sales orders, so if we look at a sales order, for instance, we want to look at this particular sales order, we can see that that was actually what was on the sales order. And as a sales rep, if I'm sitting with the customer and the customer says, yeah, I placed this order last week, and I want a repeat of that. So rather than having to go into it again and rekey everything, we can just duplicate that transaction. That immediately becomes a new order. And let's say the customer says, oh, you know, we've really had a run on avocado oil this week. So actually we want to make that 40 this time, so we can just update that total on there, and then that order is ready for submission. So very quickly, you can see we were just in there looking at what we can see about the customer, looking at the analytics, sitting down with the customer, talking to them. We've immediately created an order that we can now push through into the system. If necessary, we can get the customer to sign for the order. So we've got a panel here for your signature, and once that's done, we can go straight through to submit. And now, depending on the way the system's set up, in this instance, we configure a shipping method for this customer. So therefore, we can say, right, this is going to be a next day that's required at this point. And then, having pressed done, that order has now been sent off and is going through the process. So that's a very, very simple way of processing an order by using duplication. Now, if we go back to the quick order functionality, we've got the ability here to create a new order. So we're sitting with the customer, we want to create a new order. We get to see any offers that are on at the moment. So we've got this offer where if we purchase above $500, we get 10% off. We see that fruit and vegetables are cheap this week as well. So
and again, Nigel, but those offers and stuff like that are tailored to the customers, aren't they?
They're tailored to the system, they're tailored to customers, and they're very easy to update inside the back end of Peppery. So that this is not something where you need us to help. This is where your internal guys would probably do that. We can do it, but normally it's very simple to do. So then what you can see in the system is all of the products. Now we've got an all items category here, and then we can look at the individual categories. So if we want to move through the system, it's very simple navigation. It's very intuitive, just like a B2C. So we could move straight away into dairy. So we can say, right, we want to add a box of two or three boxes of butter. We want to add some cream cheese, some milk, whatever it is, manchego cheese. As you can see here, it doesn't have to be done. We've customized it here to show both units and boxes. So also, if you've got a minimum order quantity of a unit, then we can satisfy that. When you look at an individual product in the system using the three dots, then you can see that you get more information about that product. So we can see what the item code is and all the rest of it. It's very important to tell you that what you're seeing here is just one way of configuring Peppery. It's not the way Peppery has to look at all. We work with you. You define what products you want, what information you want to show to the customer, what information you want to show to the sales rep, what you want to include in here. As you can see, for each product, we could include a video, we could include a manual, any file type really that you want to. So, we could support safety data sheets, those sorts of things as well. So that, and again, whatever happens with those 3 dots, that's completely up to you when we work with you during the discovery phase. As you can see, for that chocolate milk, it's showing you there's a stock of 612 units. Maybe you just want to show that to the sales rep, but you don't show that to the end customer. We can facilitate that. What you see in the top left of each icon here is a little blue dot. That blue dot at the moment means that that product is available for stock. So you can actually buy it. Also, we can show the data in many different ways. So we can show that either as icons, as you can see here, or we can show it as grid lines. And again, there's a lot of data on this for a grid line view. It's entirely up to you what we show here. You may only want half the fields that are there. We only really need probably the image and the item code and the name. The rest of it is up to you. We can, as you can see here, you can add it to favorites. We've got the stock on hand, the unit price, the price after discount, the last order, and so on. Peppery also has a very powerful promotions module here, so we can show. Sorry, I went back the wrong way then. We can show immediately what promotions are available in the system, and what the best sellers are. Sorry, let's show the promotions here. So for instance, in this system, we've got buy 50 cans and get 5 for nothing, buy 3 wines for $80, 4 beers for £20, etc. And then as you go through it, then Peppery will lead you through to take advantage of that. So that's there. We've also got smart searches where we can go through the system and according to the various selection criteria, filter down to the actual products that you want to look for. You can look at the order history for the last 3 months. So that's very helpful if you normally order the same products, but also you can look and see what products have not been ordered over the last 3 months, see what you're missing out on, see what other products are in the system. And the way that this works is broadly similar for customers doing self-service as it is for sales reps. So you just literally go through the system, just keep adding and adding, and then same as we did before, you go to the basket. Once you get to the basket, then you do the signature, and then having done the signature, we can go to the submit screen. We can select the shipping method, and then once that's done, that will go directly straight into the ERP system into your ERP system. So that's a pretty fast view introduction into how Peppery works from the sales rep's perspective. We can also have a quick look at
Gonna have a quick look at it from the e-commerce perspective now, aren't we? So from the perspective of a customer purchasing directly themselves.
So again, these are the credentials that the end customer would put in. So here now we're an end buyer. So we are the customer. So what we're looking at here is the web landing page. So as we said, this is a little bit prettier. We've also got new features from Peppery in their latest release that are even better than what you see here. So what you're seeing here is a slider. That slider has got on it three images at the moment, 3 associated images. Those images, again, you would configure yourself. They can relate to promotions, new products coming in, whatever it is that you want to tell the customer about. Here, again, none of that needs to be here. That's completely up to you how that's customized. So you can show the current credit limit, what your opening invoices are, etc., etc. You can go to specific lists. You can create your own list of products that when you log on where you normally want to go. So there's a lot of configuration we can do here. You can look at your history here as well. So you can look at all of your sales orders that have been processed through the system. So that appears there. And you can go in and, as we did on the sales rep screen, and look at them and clone them and review them. So there's everything you need to do there. We can then go back and look at moving forward from here. So you can classify your new arrivals. Again, that's a status that you can put, which we can bring in from your ERP system. Same with bestsellers. And then the other categorizations we would normally bring in from your ERP as well. So we've got these different size buttons. If we go directly into the system, we can go into this fruit environment. So we can see all of the different fruits. What's going to come up first of all is any promotions. So these are the ones: buy 10 get 5% off, etc. So all of that's showing in through there. Again, we've got the different size icons, so it's the same sort of thing. We can look at the grid views as well. And if we customize it, I didn't mention it before actually, we can also have a barcode view, so that you can actually go in directly with your device and just scan the barcode of the product, and that will immediately be up here ready for you to order. So I think it's more convenient if we use the icon view here. So again, just as we did before, putting in the products that you want, using the navigation, going through, looking at the different categories of food. So ordering the various things that people normally order in their daily life, and just literally go through screen by screen. We've got also, as we said, the ability to use smart filters here. So for instance, we can filter off by category. So we can separate here by whether it's cheese or milk. Then we can look at the different levels. Now here you may not want to go to any other level because we've just got packaging and quantities, but if you bring in your own smart filters here, then you can see how powerful it would be to filter this down just to a list of whatever that filter would end up with. So we can just go back into here. So again, very simple. Once we've created the order, then we can go to the cart. Now, but once we're in the cart, again, there are things that we can offer the customer to do before the order is submitted. So for instance, we can create the PDF. Normally anyway, when an order is submitted, there would typically be a workflow to send that order confirmation immediately to the customer. And this order confirmation would generally look like this. It's quite a nice layout. It includes pictures in the layout as well. But again, that will be customized according to your own requirements. At the end, optionally, we can do a full check stock so that we can do a dynamic check just to make sure all of that stock is available. Assuming that the inventory is updated every hour or something, then potentially there could be a stock out since we created the order. So that gives that element of sophistication there. And then at that point, the order will be submitted, and then that will end up in the processing system, in the ERP. We get information here. Again, you've got other pop-ups to say, sorry, you're a bit too late. You won't get it today. You'll get it tomorrow. And we've got other things, other unpleasant things to tell the customer that you've reached your credit limit. So it's got to go through an approval process, and we're going to contact you. But assuming there aren't any blockers, then that order will go straight through. There are other things here you can see that we can bring in for you. So we could bring in the order weight. We can bring in a freight cost. We can also calculate freight costs as well. So if you give us data, again, this is something we'd put in our famous user-defined tables. So if you tell us what all the data is that is required for making a calculation of shipping cost, and then eventually what the algorithms are for calculating that, then we can bring that in as part of the system here as well. Assuming everything's good, then we just press continue, and away it goes into the ERP system. So I think that's just a very quick whistle-stop tour of Peppery. It's not supposed to be a full demo at all. It's just giving you a flavor of really how Peppery supports what we've been talking about in the rest of this webinar.
Amazing, thank you, Nigel. And again, it's important to say how it is completely configurable, and Peppery itself is continually being developed and continually evolving. And it's designed and developed with users in mind to make that user experience as simple and intuitive as possible. So I think probably what would be a good idea now, we've got a couple of questions that have come through. So the first one, what sort of support do you recommend from a strategy and implementation perspective?
That's a very good question. I think we've got a lot of experience here. I think what we like to do is to work with the customers. So we will have our discovery sessions with the customers. We like to sit down and get them to talk to us about what their goals and objectives are from a high level, and then work with them to define the strategy, both for the scope of the project and also for how that should would be implemented really according to our own methodology that we have for implementing this, and also really to work with the customer on the change management side of it as well, so that we really do get a good seamless transition from the current business as usual to business as usual in the new environment.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, in my experience working with businesses to look at their strategy side of things, the difference it makes having somebody externally working with your internal teams and your key stakeholders is huge. You end up with questions that you potentially wouldn't have thought of because you're in it day in, day out, and having an external perspective can really ask the questions that you might not have thought about, but get you to look at it from a different point of view as well. So I would definitely recommend getting support from somebody externally to help you with that process. Okay, so we've got one more question I think we've got time for. So you've mentioned Peppery can be configured to meet any needs. Who does that configuration?
So, I mean, that's an evolution really from what we've just been talking about. So we work with you on the project, and then we define all the phases and all of the requirements, and then we, as Druick & Co, would work on that customization, configuration, and implementation. But we have a team of people who do that, and that's we also have a team of people who are involved in the support as well. But it is very important to say, this is not a loose relationship with Peppery. It's not say, oh yeah, we're the Peppery partner in the UK. This is a very close, intimate relationship that we have with Peppery. So we work with them on a daily basis if necessary. We certainly have weekly calls with their professional services team, and work very closely with the sales team, the support group, and everybody else. So when we do a project, Peppery is aware of what we're doing, what the scope is, and we work with them at the beginning to see if there's any particular challenges that we have, and we ensure that we use the right best practice. So Peppery is always involved, but in terms of fronting it and doing the work, 95% of everything is done by us.
Yeah, and it's not just with Peppery that we're communicating with throughout the project either, is it? I mean, again, coming back to being agile, if things do change throughout the project or new things come to light, we're communicating very closely with the key stakeholders of our customers as well. So we can quite quickly, if necessary, and if it's the right thing to do, incorporate those changes into it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got very good contacts as well with the ERP partners. So, as I said, part of what we do also is we're pretty much agnostic, but we do select and implementation of ERP solutions. So we do these much bigger projects where we're working with customers to understand, their whole business environment when they want to change their ERPs and whatever. So we've got very good connections with most of the ERP vendors that would be wanting to integrate with Peppery. So and recently we've extended that now. We've worked with this Odoo product, so we recently did that. So again, we made the relationship with the Odoo integration partner on behalf of our customer, and then we were able to very simply to make that integration happen.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we have come to an end. Thank you very much for joining us today. There is obviously the option, this has been an overview of Peppery, but if you do have any questions, or if you want to kind of have a chat with us and get to know what you're looking for in a little bit more detail and see more relevant aspects of Peppery based on that, then please feel free to reach out. You can reach me on my email, which is lauren.luke@druick.com, and Nigel's is simply nigel@druick.com, but we will send out follow-up emails to everybody after this. And thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks everybody, and have a great weekend.
Take care.